Welcome back to Outnumbered. A new study revealing that most men would rather be in pain than be alone with their own thoughts. Yes. Researchers left people alone in a room for 15 minutes to let their minds wander and gave them a device that gives off a small electric shock. The result? About a quarter of women and 2/3 of men would rather shock themselves than be bored. Researchers say...
You're looking at me. Pause and stare at Brian.
that most men tend to be more sensation-seeking than women.
Uh-oh.
That is so disturbing.
Wait, can I just say, first of all, I know this is a daytime program, but I just want to know where those men were being shocked. That's what I want to know.
Brian.
Let me see. Let me look. I know I have it here somewhere. Let me see.
In the study, it said just on their hands.
Yeah, just on their hands. But here's the amazing thing. And it's the way, when I first saw this story, I thought they were going to say, do you want to spend time alone or do you want to be shocked? I didn't know they spend time alone, and while you're sitting there alone, you can hit a button to shock you because you're so bored of being alone. There's a chance we don't have anything to think about. See, because we think about stuff that happens, and if you're sitting by yourself, what are you thinking about? We don't have a things to do list, a time to reflect.
So you would enjoy time to think of, this would drive you nuts, and you would ask to be shocked rather.
I would be one of
a
the
man.
12 to 18. There was 18 guys did it. 12 shocked themselves. I would probably be shocking myself.
Just out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
because I'm not really deep enough to think for to have enough to think about for 15 minutes.
I'm the same way. I don't do well. I went to a retreat once, and they sat you in a room. You had 30 minutes.
That's the worst.
The worst. Yoga. I'm terrible at all those things. You had to sit in a room for 30 minutes and just be still. It was supposed to help me learn how to meditate. I went stark raving mad. I could have killed someone.
You would have
when I walked
shocked
out of the
yourself.
room. I probably would have shocked myself.
Well, most men have alone issues, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's a talent to be alone.
It is a
Don't you
skill.
think
It
it's
is
like
a
it's a
talent.
skill
You're
to sit
describing
there
it
and
as my
stare?
greatest dream.
Which is
to be
what?
alone. Because, I mean, with kids and everything, and Sandra and I were talking about this off camera. I beg for alone time. Yeah, I mean, when you have kids and they're young, this just sounds like a vacation in a room by myself. You know, by the way, the researchers said they tried to make things as nice as possible for the people sitting alone so that they could actually get through it without shocking themselves. They were almost begging of it, and people couldn't stand it. So is it the lack of social media, the lack of cell phones, the lack of all these distractions that we're so used to being distracted all the time?
Well, I think we're programmed to be always doing something productive. So, for example, if you have a things to do list, if you say to yourself, you go into your office and you sit there, and for some reason cable's down, and you sit there and stare straight ahead, you go, there's got to be something else I got to be doing. There's got to be something else I got to be lining up. There's got to be somebody I should be calling. That's how we're programmed.
Yeah, well, I think you go back in time in history, you had to be alone with your thoughts.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with today.
That's why we don't have it. We're not producing Plato and Aristotle, because those guys would just sit around and stare on rocks.
I have a homework assignment for you, Brian.
Which is what?
Think of your happy place. Like, everybody's got a happy place, right? You use it when you go to the dentist. Try that next time. Oh, what kind of dentist do you go to?
I have to be alone when I go to my happy place.
I know what you mean. Okay, fine.
Don't you think, though, men dread overthinking in general more?
Right.
I feel like every guy I've ever dated hates that minute when they have to sit and actually think about their problems. Whereas women, naturally, I feel like sometimes naturally tend to overthink. We're kind of used to doing that, so it's not as challenging. I don't know.
Right. No, you do know.
I do know?
Yes. Guys do not want to spend time thinking because we rather do stuff. And then make things happen.
I think it's because of what you're thinking about. I go back to Tucker Carlson's comments on that sofa that have disturbed me for life. See, he sat there and said, you do not want to know what a man thinks because you would never talk to us again.
Oh.
Is it because you
can't not make me analyze his own comments?
So when I
Tucker's
say to my
got deep
husband,
issues.
what are you thinking? And he says you don't want to know, I should just trust that.
Right. For your own good.
I would agree.
All right. Moving on. Now to the growing firestorm over Hillary Clinton's hefty speaking fees. She has freshened up her response, saying a lot of the money goes to a good cause. But this latest explanation is infuriating her critics even more. And speaking of the former Secretary of State and her possible White House run, the signs that she's already separating herself from the president. Separating from President Obama on some key issues. Why?
What a surprise.